we do here is go back.
We're going to be like the last ones to see Tana, so I'm pretty thrilled about that. And we're going to be like that little cherry on top, so that little whipped cream fluff frosting. Is it worth it? Hell yeah, it's worth it.
Let's go and take a picture because this camera's like for the future.
Say nigger.
Hello and welcome into the Clear as Mud podcast with your host Banana and Riveter, and boy have we got a spicy meatball for you today.
Yes, we do.
We're also joined by our friend Chicken Choker, otherwise known to his friends as Death Chicken. So how you doing today, Mr. Chicken?
Pretty good. Just haven't been doing much all day, so ready to talk about more nothing. YouTube genre. Hell yeah.
Hey, that's what we excel at, right? It's talking about absolutely nothing. And the great news is there's nothing about any type of sexual inappropriation or allegations. It's just our thoughts on basically how the needle has changed, right? Is that a good way of putting it? I think maybe a safe way. I mean,
I think there's been some kind of quantum entanglement thing happening where since post 2000, we live in a post-Trump world. Post 2015, we transferred realities, and now we all inhabit half of our consciousness of the world went into the sub-reality where everyone's lost their goddamn minds. And so the few of us left here that are sane are trying to piece together what the fuck happened. Yeah.
So
what do you think?
Your whole thing is because basically you went and watched what it was, the movie. What is it? The movie that's out there right now.
Batman.
No, the multiverse. Doctor Strange.
Oh, Dr. Dick and the Million Universes?
Yeah. So you think because Donald Trump got elected, it caused a splinter in the timeline. And unfortunately, we're in the timeline where comedy and jokes on the internet are no longer allowed.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the exit terminal on this matrix. I'm trying to find I want out. I've had plenty.
You know, it's kind of funny. I've shared this many times. I really discovered what YouTube was, other than a place to go to watch what they call nowadays classic rock videos, right?
Yeah.
It was a platform where people were actually making the original content, and they were, and then I, of course, got exposed to the commentary community and how they were, for the lack of a better word, were kind of like the conscience of YouTube, as far as if there were people out there that were making garbage content that was in some way detrimental to the platform, they'd call them out, and I kind of liked that. I thought, hey, and the thing about it is that there was no one controlling moral authority.
It's like every voice is combating to
exactly. So you
figure out what's okay.
100%. You have people that are more left-leaning. You have people who are more right-leaning, and then you had centrist people, and all these different people, different ideologies, beliefs, different religious, non-religious. It didn't matter. But they were out here creating content, and they were out, and they were holding the feet to the fire, as it were, to these people who were out here just making trash type thing. One of those people who used to do that and was excellent at it was the subject of our discussion today, Idubbbz.
Yeah.
And another one who was a close friend of his, and I don't know if they still are, I assume they are, was Ethan over at H3H3. right?
Ethan Klein.
Ethan Klein. And both of those guys, when I first started really discovering what YouTube was all about, made some funny stuff. H3 was making funny content. Idubbbz was making hilarious type stuff, as we've seen in the as our cold opening was, where he was like one of the last content cops that he did, which was on Tana Mojo.
Well, yeah, so like, to give context, we just didn't play the N-word to shock jock you. We did a little bit, but like the context there is during 2000, that era of like 2015 leading, and even a little bit past that, coming up to it, is like, that was the era of a counterculture movement against these new type of people that were popping up in the political spectrum. They were called SJWs. And they were like, now they're known as woke, or whatever you want to call them, left wing. But anyways, there's these hyper offended people that were online saying you can't say things, and like, the joke police, and Idubbbz and H3 were part of this counterculture trend. Yes. And even I think Idubbbz said at the time, he was like, part of his inspiration was George Carlin. So meaning that like George Carlin was famously, he did a bit where like he said every slur known to man and racial epithet.
Well, there were 7 words you couldn't say. They were unwritten words according to the FCC. There was nothing written down by the FCC, but there were 7 unwritten words.
Well, it all started with the puritanical right. That's the thing. It's like back in the 90s with Tipper Gore and shit. And like the label, the parental advisory labels on CDs and shit.
You have to go back even before that, right?
Because
because they took rock music, right?
Oh, Satanic Panic. Yeah.
Well, no, like Dee Snider, who was the lead singer of Twisted Sister, went before Congress. And here was the thing, if you look at Twisted Sister, and maybe some of the people in our audience may not know who Twisted Sister is. So let me see if I can pull up a.
I think everyone knows like Quiet Riot and Twisted Sister.
Well,
if you don't, you're living under a fucking rock.
Some people.
He looks like he's a drag queen. Yeah.
I want to see this here. Okay, let me go here and.
Oh, you almost got copyright claimed. Play that fucking music.
Okay, so this was Twisted Sister. Let's see if I can kind of zoom in here a little bit here. That was Twisted Sister, and the person in the center, white with the blonde hair, that was his real hair, by the way. That was all frizzy and stuff. His name is Dee Snider. Now, he went before Congress because the whole thing is they were trying to get rock music banned. They thought it was horrible, right? It was leading to suicide because you had a singer by the name of Ozzy Osbourne, who I'm sure everybody's heard of. He had a song called Suicide Solution. And there was a kid that was a fan of Ozzy that wound up killing himself. Never mind the fact that the kid had a long history of mental issues. That didn't matter. And they just use things like that to propagate this nonsense that, I grew up, I was a teenager. I mean, my mom drugged me from church to church that was having these rallies, or I don't know what, I guess you'd call them rallies. They were having these things where they were playing all this music, and they had these where they were showing examples, like if you took Stairway to Heaven and you played it backwards by the Led Zeppelin. If you played it backward, it was talking about having their I will sing of my sweet Satan and stuff like that, right? And so they were really, and that tumbled on to the whole Satan, and that was in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
And so then that was the I guess you would say the catalyst or whatever, until you had the Satanic Panic, which was in the extreme late 80s, early 90s, and that's, you had the whole West Memphis 3, which we covered on this show, and those 3 young men who were in prison for life, essentially, that they eventually did get out, but they were, in prison because of the Satanic Panic, right? But anyway. Yeah.
I mean, like, I still have a Beastie Boys album that has a parental advisory sticker on it, and it says, clean version, nothing silly.
Exactly.
Like, it's like a child's version. Like, during that time, there was, like it's so weird that music was edited just to suit, like, the market. because there's so many morally offended and outraged people over this stuff. And now, like in the moral outrage has twisted and changed to another portion of the population, which is the left.
And now we have a song called WAP, right?
Yeah.
So
Tipper Gore would have actually fucking exploded had she
100%.
heard that. What that's supposed to play on the radio. She'd be like, what the fuck?
But the reason why we're talking about this is I was recently introduced to a content creator by the name of Gideon. Now, I'm thankful that I was introduced to this content creator. The last 2 videos that he's made, I've watched, and this guy is I don't want to. I find his stuff very informative and extremely entertaining, and he's not just going with like one type, particular style or whatever you want to call it. Right now, some of you may be a little bit familiar with Gideon. He recently got some stories and stuff done on him in like in the rags online, the tech rags and things like that. He had a little bit of a dust up with Pokimane, right?
Yeah.
And he was kind of goofing or whatever on with Pokimane or whatever, and she felt like he was attacking her. And I'm not going to get into all that, but Gideon wound up getting banned off of Twitch.
She's like Cersei Lannister of Twitch. I mean, seriously, like she if
she's
anyone looks like a negative, like slightly off in her direction, she'll fucking go to war.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And then later on, Gideon and Pokemon, I think Pokimane rather, I think kind of quashed everything because they actually put out a thing where I think they had lunch together or something like that, and it was, but I think Gideon is still to date banned off of Twitch. Is not allowed on there.
Wow.
Now, so back on the 6th of May, Gideon released a video, and this one kind of hit close for me, because the name of the video is "I went to the most racist town in America." And I've not made it any secret. I live in the state of Arkansas, and this town that he's referring to is Harrison, Arkansas. I live about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, something like that, from this town. I have been through this town numerous times as I've traveled the state. And the town of Harrison does have that moniker as being the most racist town in the state, or in the country, actually. And the reason why it has that moniker is because they've had the leadership of the Klan has lived in that area for the last several decades.
What clan? Wu-Tang Clan? Oh, the other one.
The Triple K. The Triple K.
Yeah, it's a stupid, silly joke.
So anyway, Gideon went to the town.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to. We can play a little segment if you want to, whatever. But I can. But in a nutshell, what happened was he was well received by the majority of the citizens. Now, I want to make something clear here. Just because the people that he interacted with and treated him as a human being, that in no way doesn't mean that they may not be in some way racist, right? Or bigoted, okay? But he was not, in his own words in this video, and he was not referred to in any type of derogatory manner. He did go and he went to go speak to the head of the Klan, I think they call him the Grand Dragon or the Grand Wizard, or I don't know what it is.
The Grand Goblin?
The Grand Dumbass. But anyway.
Grand dipshit.
He went to go talk to the person, but the person was not available. But he did talk to somebody in that, I don't know, I guess, I wouldn't call it a compound, but in that area.
It looked like a compound.
Okay.
It definitely looked
All right,
like.
fine.
We have people meeting you at the fucking like perimeter going, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Well, you know, we can call it a compound, that's fine. But I will say this, when people in Arkansas, especially the ones that are rural, like this place is, they tend to have long driveways that you have to drive to get to the property, because most time their homes and stuff are kind of located quite a ways off the road or the main thoroughfare, right? And so when you start coming down that road, you have to be coming there for intention. This is not something like, oh, I was just out driving type thing. You know what I'm saying? You have to have a purpose for being on that road.
Right.
Now, with that being said, so you know, right? If someone starts coming down your driveway, that's just, so you go out and say, hey, what are you doing here? Especially if it's someone you don't know. And let's just be honest. You have a black man driving down the road and you're a member of the Klan, you're going to be going out and asking questions. I mean, that's kind of goes without cause, or goes without saying, rather. But they have a conversation in this video. And, they have an exchange they have a conversation. Neither one of them treats the other person disrespectfully. I mean, you watched the video there, Banana. Do you think, am I saying anything that's kind of out of line there, or?
No, I mean, obviously, like, if you associate yourself with that group, you're a bigot, but that guy was being very polite.
Yes.
Or polite enough.
I will say this too. He was being polite, but I'll also say he was being very guarded, right? Because he's being recorded, right? So he knows that, what he says. And so, and I have no doubt in my mind that, just because they're in the sticks of Arkansas doesn't mean that they're not somewhat savvy to the way things are done. I will say this, with all that being said, they still were. Gideon allowed the man to speak. I don't believe Gideon cut up the video in any way to make the guy look bad, or any worse, shall we say, than what his stances are, period. Right? His stances alone are bad enough, but Gideon probably could have. But so kudos for Gideon for just allowing the man to, even though I want to be clear, I don't agree with this guy's stances or opinions just because I'm from Arkansas. I want to get that clear, but
no, I think that's all.
Yeah,
that goes without saying.
He allowed, and Gideon, the guy allowed Gideon to speak as well. And so neither one of them's views or opinions or anything like that changed. I mean, I think that's
so the point being is he's not some like rabid, anti-human, like non-human entity that's like just some kind of barbarian that would attack black people on sight. He's a racist. He's probably a bigot, probably a terrible person.
Sure.
But at least he can have a discussion, which means, there's a possibility there for him his mind to be changed. It means he's a human being. And
he's
that,
still
like,
human. He just has some strong feelings that contradict.
I think that's the point Gideon was trying to get across.
Sure.
Also, Mysterious Case says something interesting, and I just want to address it for a second. It's a little off topic, but it's on the main. It says, I think the reason comedy is dead in entertainment has to do with the ideas presented in the dialectic of enlightenment. That entertainment gives us a break from work, and leisure, like video games, is a tool that makes us work harder and sedated us to be okay with it. Marxists use it to say that capitalism is bad, and if that we would just get rid of the escape, then the working class would wake up and see they're being oppressed. I don't know. That seems like a weird point of a frame of reference that you could put onto anything. It's like if I didn't have entertainment, work would very quickly become something I couldn't handle. So, like, I don't know. in life you have to manage your time to where you work and have things that are enjoyable as well, so that it makes work worthwhile. That seems like a very childish point that you could easily point out. Like, not saying that, like the point that like the Marxists would try to use to say capitalism is bad. It's like on some point, on some level, you are being oppressed, and maybe that's a self-oppression by indulging yourself in hedonistic pursuits that don't offer you much of anything. So if you were to dispense with that, you could work harder and probably produce more for yourself. Maybe that's a capitalist counter-argument, but it just seems like a silly point of reference that can be easily done away with. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. There's too many big words that were used there, and I don't get into all that. I leave that stuff to you, man. So.
Oh, I gotta pee. I'll be right back.
All right, you go do that. So, but then Gideon releases his next video that he released, and like I say, that video that he did, going to the most racist town, I found it informative. There's a few surprises. If you haven't seen the video, I suggest you do go check it out. And then Gideon released another video following up to this, and he said the video is "What happens at a furry con stays at a furry con." And so I wanted to show this small little segment, or this little thing here. But anyway, let's just listen to what this conversation that occurs between Gideon, which is the guy with the homosexual shirt there on, and these two other gentlemen.
If you just like look at me, can you tell me what like my persona is?
I don't know. It kind of depends on what speaks to you.
I've been called a coon my whole life, so like.
That's different. That doesn't count as your soda.
That's what I like to see.
So
holy shit.
He says he's been called a coon a lot or whatever, and they're like, well, no, that doesn't really count as your persona. So that kind of sets up
persona. It's persona.
I'm sorry, persona. This is a new world to me.
Yeah, how dare you? By the way, you should have that right. You should be. You're being oppressive to other points of view, especially ones like the fur community. Stupid. All right, yeah, go ahead.
So anyway, to kind of make it a short, compress this a little bit, Gideon gets made up, or whatever you want to call it. He gets a prosthetic on his face, whatever, and he gets made up like a raccoon, right?
Oh my God.
So his fursona is a raccoon. And so he's going around and he's talking to different people in the furry con, and then this conversation happens.
Thing about being a furry.
The community.
These are friends like you'd take a bullet for.
See, I'm happy that you say you would take a bullet, because I've heard there's a lot of gang violence in the furry community, whether it be between the dogs, with the. Can I ask what the problem is, Mustang?
So I'm gonna have to ask you to stop filming. People are uncomfortable.
I really don't feel comfortable either, because I'm the only coon here.
Oh my God.
Coon representation here, and I like. It is what it is and stuff like that. I'm trying to find my kind and stuff.
But is this stopping now or not?
Yeah, we're gonna go iPhone mode.
Okay, so let's do that.
Bro, like record that shit. Bro,
iPhone mode.
That shit thick as fuck. Hey.
So
point of privilege, yeah.
Here's the thing. He just has some fun. And this is the type of stuff, right?
Yeah, he's hilarious.
That we used to get back in 2016, right? This is the type of
from like Idubbbz.
Idubbbz, a perfect example. We had it in the code opening. He bought a ticket to one of the meetup thing shows that Tana Mongu, how you say her damn name, did back in 2015. Banana, you and I are talking so much, we haven't even really given Chicken a chance to talk.
Well, yeah.
So I'm gonna pause for a second, and so what is your thoughts on this, Death? Chicken?
Just the I guess on Gideon himself, or like the entirety of like edgy humor kind of changing.
Yeah, edgy humor, the culture today, Gideon's place in it, how he's rising up to fill a hole that's been left by people like Filthy Frank Idubbbz, stuff like that. I mean,
I think I don't want to go too off topic. I think there's like maybe an in between where you can't completely tell if people back in the day were kind of getting on the edgy train because that was at the height of like the anti SJW stuff and like it was fun to quote unquote trigger people back then. I think a lot of people maybe cashed in on that. I don't know if I would label H3 and Idubbbz and them under that specifically.
They 100% were, yeah. Like, I mean, because they would often do things like that. And like the point of Idubbbz, like saying that to Tana Mogo was because of like her videos of her saying that in the past or whatever. I can't remember because what.
Well, yes, exactly.
It's like a counter response to it.
What it was she started making these little, I don't know, Twittergram, Instagrams, whatever you want to call it, where she was calling Ian or Idubbbz out because he made several videos where he was saying, you know, the two famous words he kind of got famous for that he, you know, that Ethan over at H3H3 just went completely totally off the rails on on that podcast. And she was saying that he shouldn't be using the N word. He shouldn't be using that.
There you go.
It's so racist. It's so and then
she was virtue signaling. Yeah,
oh,
so she was
1,000%.
To try to attack Ethan, and then Idubbbz came at her with her own video.
1,000%. And so then what happened was, so he made this video, and in that whole comment cop that he did on her, he went back in her history and showed that she had flagrantly just thrown the N-word around stuff too, right? So it was kind of like, as we say here in the South, the pot calling the kettle black, right?
Yeah.
You're saying, basically, don't come in me telling me to clean up my front yard when your backyard is just as messy, right? And
yeah, well, it's like the thing, but that's now people are dunking on people like Idubbbz and not Jordan, but what the fuck am I saying? Ethan Klein, because of they're going after people like Jordan Peterson or other content creators for saying they're, you know, like going like whatever, you can't do this, you can't tell jokes like that, etc. It's like they're gatekeeping, and they're going, you can't gatekeep because you're using it too. So you can't then like read somebody's mind and heart and infer that their intentions were evil and say that they're a bad person because they used the words that you also used, you know.
And the thing that was, and so, you know, and then Ethan. So then Idubbbz quit making that kind of content, right?
Yeah, because he's always sit by his own petard, so he's like, all right, fine, I'll rise to the challenge. I'll be a moral voice of like somebody whose character is sacrosanct on the platform. We see this time and time again. People have to have their like egos and reputation be completely clean in a way that's like it's so important to them to have control over their image. You know what I mean?
Sure. Especially
with Idubbbz. And you can see that a good example of Idubbbz needing to have control over his image are things like his little documentaries that he does, like on Airsoft Fatty. I mean, famously, he did the documentary on Airsoft Fatty, and he was basically like bullying the guy, like just roasting him, making fun of him.
And he was exploiting the shit out of him.
Exploiting the fuck out. And these guys are like super poor and very not healthy to be nice about it. But anyway, so he goes to do that, and it's a killer video. It's great. It's awesome. Yeah. But then he tries to set Sam up in the same way.
Yeah.
And it backfires.
100%.
And so the point I'm drawing here is whenever Sam Hyde did it, Ian's not really a comedian in the way that you would think. He doesn't care about entertaining people or making them laugh because he can't be the butt of the joke. So like if it's turned on him, if somebody smarter gets the upper hand and like goofs on him, he can't handle that because he has to have control of his image. And so like doing the whole Sam Hyde thing, he couldn't release the documentary. And so Sam, you know, pushed him again and released it on his own, his footage.
100%. And let's not forget, you know, there was this, because, you know, Ian and his wife just put on this whole creator clash, right? The boxing match.
Yeah, what's his wife's name? Anissa.
Yeah.
She looks goofy as fuck right now. She has this like Bob's Burger, like the chick from Bob's Burger haircut, straight across, fucking like helmet head looking shit. Like, what the fuck is that?
And here's
who cut her hair? She should sue that guy. My God.
So the thing that I found interesting is I haven't heard anybody say anything negative about the actual.
She looks like fucking Mojo Jojo from like Powerpuff Girls. Sorry.
Damn banana. So the boxing match in itself, I enjoyed the matches. I thought they were well done and stuff, right? But then there was this undertow, right? There was this whole thing with Sam Hyde, right?
Yeah.
Because Sam Hyde challenged Hassan because he wanted to be on that, he thought that he and Hassan would be a great.
Well, first, didn't he challenge Idubbbz to the fight?
No. What happened is back during
he wanted to fight mealtime, epic mealtime. Sorry. Yeah, because he's like, we'll fight in a burger with beans.
Okay, but here's the thing: when Idubbbz went and was going to do the documentary on Sam Hyde, if I'm remembering the timeline here correctly, and I probably am not, and so please chime in if I get it wrong, Chad or Chicken or whoever. Yeah. When Idubbbz went to do the documentary with Sam Hyde, the content, as far as that whole event, the creator clash, had not even been discussed or portrayed yet. Is that correct? I mean, I don't remember. I think that come afterwards, right?
I'm spotty on the timeline, if I'm being honest.
Well,
I don't know when like the discussions started because I was more focused on like the Sam side of it, but.
Well, I know that initially what started it was the initial person that Idubbbz wanted to fight was Rice Gum.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, and
he spent like a year trying to set up that fight, and Rice Gum was dodging him at every turn.
Correct. Yes, and so, but anyway, there was while I don't want to, I'm trying not to get too far. Because there's this little clip I wanted to play.
No, go ahead. We don't have to be stuck to the timeline. So
yeah. But I'm as far as I came across this video when I was researching for today's show and stuff, and I just kind of wanted to show this. And I think if I remember correctly, I don't know if either one of you guys have saw this. So we'll watch this little segment here, and this is Idubbbz and his wife is on the H3H3 podcast. And this is a clip of that little segment. And what it's called is Why Idubbbz Stopped Doing Edgy Humor.
Okay.
I've been with him for through two content cops. And I help, Yeah,
a lot of people's, I guess criticism is like, like that witch or that, changed him, or things have gotten bad since they've gotten together, type thing.
A lot of people attack Anissa. People are like obsessed with.
Well, they just don't understand that she's been like helping me create videos since we got together, and a lot of the videos that people love are with her help and involvement, and it's been the same thing all the way.
The Rice Gum one, I remember you were there.
Yeah.
You had a lot of input on that one.
Yeah, the Rice Gum one was a lot of fun. I really like, but I mean, I also take ownership for the Tana. The Tana thing was my.
Oh, that was so long ago.
Was my idea.
The Tana Mogo whole thing was her idea.
Mm-hmm.
Not
so she's his ghostwriter.
Yeah, exactly right. So he can't.
So she's the funny one.
Idubbbz can't go after Rice Gum about having a ghostwriter, right? Because
I just like that Sam Hyde called her Yoko Ono. That was fucking hilarious. Oh, by the way, Riveter, we have a caller. You want to take him, Nerdy John?
Yeah, sure. We can pause.
Right.
Let's see what maybe he has something to add to this.
Welcome to the show, Nerdy John. You're on the air. How can we help you?
Hey, let me mute real quick. Okay. I hate this clip so much.
Why do you hate it?
Yeah.
It's just because of like the moral. I'm not gonna say the slur. the moral effing that they do in this clip. I just don't like it.
The moral effing. What do you mean?
Like
the British word for cigarette.
Yeah, they're the British word for cigarette. I just don't like it. I just don't.
Okay, so what? Okay, you're going to have to explain this to me because I guess I don't I can understand that they can do moral grandstanding, or they can do that. But when you say moral fagging, I don't understand what you mean by that.
I use that. I use that synonymous, like simultaneously with moral grandstanding.
I think it comes from like 4chan, like message board type stuff. Like you just append that to the end of like whatever word you're trying to like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But back to your when you guys were covering the Gideon thing. I mean, come on, guys. The political figure, top tier with the best political takes, Hassan Piker, said it himself that Gideon was creating propaganda for the KKK. You have to take that into account, guys.
Wait, what? Wait, hold on. Wait, the dipshit Hassan actually said that? That's not like a Babylon Bee article?
No.
Yep, he said that. He said that because he reacted to the drama alert Keemstar made on him. And in the drama alert, Keem obviously used clips from Gideon's stream to help emphasize a lot of his points. And he goes, well, like, wait, does he not think the KKK guy is racist? He's literally making propaganda films for them.
Yeah, it's because, well, I mean, like, what Hassan fails to see because he has the IQ of a fucking toddler is that, like, the point wasn't that they're not racist. The point is to humanize them so that you can instead of making them unreachable, damned enemies that you need to eradicate, you can actually reach them through talking with them, and instead of like you can change their minds. So they're people that are they're not completely closed off.
It's like
sorry.
They're redeemable in some way.
Yeah. Like I forget his name, but there's this guy that Joe Rogan interviewed.
Harold
Davis. Daryl Davis. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm fucking with you.
That dude converted a lot of KKK members into leaving them because he opened dialogue with them, and he made them realize how stupid they were, and like their picture of what they think a minority isn't what it was.
Isn't real. No, it's the same thing for the woke people. That's what they don't understand. When you're steeped into like a ideology that pits you against a group that you dehumanize, you don't realize how they have that your enemy has the exact same ideology, and it can be transferred. If the rules still apply for the other guy against you, it's like, then what's going on? You're just dehumanizing two groups, and you're getting further radicalized away from each other.
Yeah.
So it's a step away from reality. Instead, it's a lack of communication.
Yeah,
what were you gonna say, Death Chicken? I'm sorry. Were you about to make a point as well?
No, I was literally gonna bring up Daryl Davis.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. And like obviously Hassan doesn't want that. So like you gotta love Hassan's thinking. When a trans person criticizes him for losing a trans debate, automatically that trans person does not know anything about being trans. When a black content creator has the balls to try and talk to a member of the KKK, it's like, oh no, you don't actually understand what racism is, Gideon. You're making propaganda films for them.
That should be the red flag for people to understand. Like, oh, so if the rules are that subjective, you're a priest. It's like you're like a mid like, you know, like a Catholic priest that like is creating the sermon instead of allowing people to read the Bible for themselves. So like the rules are interchangeable to fit whatever agenda you want to prop up this for power. It's like, so if it's a power grab, like if you don't have a cohesive like rules and ethics, if it's subjective and it's fluid enough where you can bend it to your whim so that you stay on top of the shifting thing, it's like then you're fucking, all you're doing is peddling nonsense.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry for you to get you guys off topic with because I know you're trying to focus on Idubbbz right now. But to circle it back, remember when his girlfriend said that the Holocaust wasn't an overall net negative because we were able to learn a lot of things about medicine?
Look,
with that baby.
You just kick him?
No. He's got, he's on summer break and he's back home.
That's hilarious.
And his
he got yeeted by Discord for being a white supremacist.
Yeah.
No,
the other thing too I want to bring out real quick is
I want to address this point real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so like we've all made in an attempt to make a succinct and nuanced point. We have all very clumsily shot ourselves in the foot, and I can't harp on her too bad for that because like how many times have you dropped the ball in conversation and sounded horrible because you were trying to be like either funny or explain a nuanced point? Excuse me. Jesus, what's wrong with me? I just burp right into the fucking microphone. You think after like a year of broadcasting I'd figure that out and just mute? I just burped right into the fucking mic. Anyways, what do you think, Death Chicken? Have you ever expressed tried to be nuanced and considerate of an opinion that might be taboo and then just made yourself look like a fucking dipshit? Yes. I have every day. It's every day for me.
You know, the other thing too is I've always thought of when you're having a conversation with somebody that, and back to what, I got so many things in my mind right now. The other thing too was like that, you know, Nerdy brought up was with Hassan when he was talking about this whole situation with Gideon and the him going and doing this documentary and everything. His own chat was like, you know, calling him basically like a white savior, right? Why are you trying to white savior or whatever, right?
Well, Hassan?
Yeah, and Hassan.
They're calling Hassan a white savior?
And his chat was calling Hassan a white savior when he was talking
about
Good.
Get him hoisted by his own petard.
And here was the thing though, right? So
yeah.
Hassan
I'm not even white.
No. It wasn't even that good. Hassan said he was like a white savior. Okay, yeah, fine. I'm being his white, but he needs a white savior.
Oh my God. You're fucking serious.
I'm serious, dude.
He said that shit live?
Yes.
How does anyone watch this guy?
Is
it a lolcat situation? Is that why they watch him now? Like, I hear people, no, this is insane. I hear people fucking unironically give this guy credence all the time. I have friends who are like, I watch Hassan Piker. I think he's a pretty fucking level-headed political commentator, dude. I don't like capitalism. It's really trendy right now because I'm filling in the Marxist slot. You know, fuck the system. It's like, yeah, but he's a complete fucking retard. He has how do you watch that and not drool out of your fucking head and just like grab the nearest hammer and fucking brain yourself? I don't know. How is it popular? What's appealing? What's the appeal?
You know, the thing of it is I think it's a bit presumptuous.
He would make a perfect politician. Nerdy John says Hassan is thinking about running for a political office, by the way. Oh my fucking God. Hey, AOC, V2.
Yeah.
Like, better and more improved. He's muscular. You know, he can dominate the opposition. You got these two Chads. Like, AOC has huge titties, right? So, like, Hassan is just this beefed up Chad. You can have these two fucking Giga Alpha Democratic retards in the political system. Wouldn't that be fucking awesome? Power couple. Marxist power couple.
Oh, God. I don't know.
Is she getting married, by the way? Like, AOC? Those titties are off the market now. Everybody should be
doesn't
fucking
believe in marriage.
she's getting a sole proprietorship over a man. That's what it is. She's starting her own company.
I have no idea, dude. Don't get me started.
Hey, you know what? I believe strong, independent women too. I think women should own men as sex slaves, and not for the means of production, or seize the means of production. I don't know. I fucked that up.
You just wish somebody would own you for sex.
I don't. You know, I'd be a fucking what are they called? Gimps? I wear gimps who get leather daddy written on my chest. Yeah.
And then the last little thing to this story I kind of want to kind of go through because I thought this was a 14-minute segment.
Buckle up. Keemstar
and his partner FouseyTube hosted one of those Twitter, what do they call them, spaces where they get on there and talk.
Like a fucking, what was that app back in the day with all those rich fucks? What was that called? Where they all had like these little fucking, they'd have these little voice calls, and like the entire population that downloaded this app could listen to them and sit in with like these very famous people talking to each other. What was that called?
I don't know.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Death Chicken?
Nope.
It was called like, it was basically like an app where you could just like listen to famous people talk to each other in voice chats. Anyway, whatever.
But anyway, so this is one of those Twitter, it's, for lack of a better word, it's kind of like what Discord has now called stages. Twitter has a thing where you can create a thing and a broadcast, whatever, and people could tune in and listen to it, but only the people who are on the stage or whatever is allowed to talk. So this stage had Keemstar, and it had FouseyTube, and it had Sam Hyde, and it had Idubbbz and his wife. And there's someone else there, and I'm not for sure who that is, because I think it's one of the boxing promoters out there or whatever. But I just wanted to
Clubhouse. There it is. Clubhouse. Sorry.
Clubhouse. Okay.
Couldn't let that go. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, well, that's right. So let's listen to this, and we'll break this down a little bit.
I'm kind of aware of.
But Hassan, you're gonna fight me.
I'm going to force this situation on you.
You're gonna fight me, son.
But what's your main beef with him?
He's the guy on the left. That's like the alpha male on the left. Why not be able to back it up with actual violence?
Hassan, you have the chance to beat up a Nazi. I don't blame Hassan. Sam is a big boy.
Like, he would just punch me once, and then my head would explode.
Do you think Dr. Mike would box on a card with Sam Hyde?
I've been boxing for 10 years, ever since my mom passed away.
This is some new stuff.
Just protect your knuckles. Oh, Sam Hyde's getting nerve damage in his hands.
It's just a massive.
So, I don't know. That's a good question. Do you think if Sam Hyde would have been allowed to be one of the boxers in this event, do you think these other content creators would have dropped out?
I mean, like, how much damage to their image? They want to be associated with somebody that's on the fringe, right? I don't know.
I feel like
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I feel like it would take pressure. Like once the articles started rolling in, then they would start dropping out.
Yeah. So like, there's this, like, that's what I was about to ask. I was like, how much of it is this manufactured pressure by media entities or people who say that he's so much of a controversial figure? So they prop up all these like things. They're like, well, he's actually a really controversial figure. And then every other retard starts like repeating that, like mimicking it and saying he's a very controversial alt-right figure. And then it's like the Alex Jones snowball, like where everyone was just like, they blackballed him. So I feel like that's the same thing that's happened to Sam Hyde in some sense. It's like, because I don't think the consequences would have been nearly as steep if you didn't fucking shine a bright light onto it and say, it's going to be a problem if we have him on here. You could have just asked for forgiveness instead of permission, you know? And nobody would have really given a shit, I think. What do you think?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think I'm in a position to say one way or the other because, quite honestly, I don't know enough about Sam Hyde.
Well, neither. I mean, yeah. Well, first of all, we're all three of us are fuckheads who don't work anywhere near entertainment, other than our little hobby online, what we're doing right now. Hi, but the thing is like we can make speculations about these type of things because it's fun.
Okay, so here's what I'll say.
Yeah, speak freely, sir.
So if we look out across the spectrum, right?
The autistic spectrum. Keemstar pointing to a chart talking about Tommy and
so YouTubers it seems like to me they're trying to become more and more mainstream adjacent, right?
They're trying to be old media. Yeah, yes, they're trying to changes the thing.
So you have people here like Idubbbz and his wife. For that matter, let's even look here at Keemstar. If you look at the content stuff, even that Drama Alert is putting out nowadays, he edits himself, right? He cleans up his language. He's a lot more, quote, sponsor friendly, right?
Do you know why? Yeah, exactly. Sponsor friendly. It's because their payment, their pay is dependent on advertisers.
Sure.
If you go to a platform like Patreon, you don't have that problem. People speak freely and say the most horrendous shit because they don't care about advertisers because it's a subscription model.
That's a fair point. But what I'll say is that they're trying to appear like I said, more non-edgy or whatever, right?
Brand friendly.
Friendly. Okay. And so if you take a look at, if they're kind of like, for lack of a better word, a watered down Hollywood, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have a problem being
It's called selling out.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So some of these YouTubers don't have a problem, right? For example, let's just call it what it is here. So Idubbbz will go on Ethan's podcast, right? And we'll do whatever and say whatever. Okay, fine. But this is the same person, okay, who has been on this cancel culture kick for the last, year and a half, who recently mocked and ridiculed a gay person who was a quote unquote supporter of their show on air and made fun of him for quote being a power bottom. Okay, so what I'm saying is
and then he had the non-self-awareness to go, I don't understand why you guys are mad at me. Cultivated it.
He had to say, no, he's aware. He's 100% aware, right? But the problem is the hypocrisy, right? Because it's okay as long as it's not something that
they want to have their cake and eat it too.
Exactly. They find it funny. They find it humorous. Whatever. That's fine. They don't have a problem with that. The problem comes with is if someone says all of a sudden, you can't talk about this because that's something that we can't talk about, right? We can't.
Point of privilege.
Yes.
You're clapping. That's aggressive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is Idubbbz used to do the same thing, right? He would sit there and make very edgy commentary jokes, and it would make, like, for example, if you remember, he had this whole unboxing series things that he did, and he would get these boxes from this Asian
those are my
company.
favorite videos.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he
the unboxing videos.
Exactly. But he had this one brand deal that he would get. Samurai Buyer, exactly. And he would sit there and do these Asian jokes and shit.
Yeah.
That was, again, funny, right? It played to a stereotype.
Right.
But nowadays, no, because it's, quote, not. And that's what I want to get into this whole video here is they start having this conversation about how, quote, unquote, Sam Hyde is not brand.
Let me pull the veil, rip the veil off the thing. The reason that it matters to them, and it shouldn't matter to any fucking other person else, is entertainment is not supposed to be a amoral ladder climbing process where you change your behavior and in your entertainment style to fit a very profitable mold. So but that's what they're doing because they saw those big checks for every time they kept things nice and neat and Christian, in like, well, not Christian because now it's like, anyways, you know what I'm saying. But they see those numbers and they're like, ooh. So it's called selling out. It's like that's why people like Sam Hyde or like, like real comedians like Tony Hinchcliffe and stuff, they're like timelessly funny. It's because they don't give a fuck. They'll sacrifice a fucking huge paycheck just to entertain an audience. And not only that, they get paid in other ways like subscription models because they know how to get around the system and not just be entirely dependent on sponsors. So
I'm sitting here and I'm looking for this video or this tweet that Ricky Berwick put out. And I think it sums things up pretty good here.
What do you think about the current state of ladder climbing entertainment and hackery happening on the platform, Death Chicken? Do you have any opinions that would differ or compare to ours?
Probably not anything that differs.
Yeah. But do you agree with that? Like that idea that I just threw out there? It's a kind of an amoral ladder climbing process. I don't know. That's just what I think because I like logically that's where my head goes. I'm like, oh, so they got big paychecks from these nice neat videos. So it's like it's easy to sacrifice your ability to kill or something like that, like Idubbbz did, if it becomes more profitable to do other things.
I'm really curious if he hasn't uploaded too many videos. Well, I'm not subscribed to him anymore, but I don't think he's uploaded too many videos to his main channel like that often as he used to, right? So I don't understand how much of the audience he had before he's retaining, or if he's actually gained a lot of new people like H3. Like, I don't think his content has taken as drastic as a shift as H3's did.
It's like reading the room. It's so weird because they stopped reading the room off, and they're like, Idubbbz got in a lot of trouble because he accosted his audience for goofing on him for being a cuck. So like whenever he got cucked by his now wife, I guess, Anissa, for being like on OnlyFans, and famously he's been very kind of quasi misogynistic and in a humorous way about women and how they do like OnlyFans and shit like that. So his audience called him out for the hypocrisy and basically called him a cuck and stuff, and it's very funny. But he, instead of leaning into the joke or making people laugh and stuff like that, he accosted his audience for being like incels and shit, and like saying like, oh, like you think women blah 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 blah. You saw the video.
Yeah. I also think it was funny that I think leading up to the video that he was making it seem like he was leaning into it. Like he posted that picture of himself and it said no more Mr. Nice Cuck.
Yeah.
And then he posted the video.
Yeah, and so it's like you took a left turn when you decided to stop reading the room and make it about you in a way that you had to like, no, see guys, y'all are the ones that failed to change. I've always been the same. It's just it's odd to me that you lost touch. You lost touch in a very real way. It's a lot of different ways to say selling out and losing touch with your audience, but I mean, I could flower it up some more. I'm also trying to fill time because River's trying to find this tweet. But honestly, okay, cool. There you go. Perfect timing.
So
I'm looking at Andy No's Twitter while we're doing this too.
Okay.
Why would you subject yourself to that?
Andy No?
Yeah.
Isn't he a Chad? Isn't he like a Chad journalist who goes where no man has gone before? Or is he, I don't know. Is he somebody I'm not supposed to be looking at?
No, I just find him like, this is going to be a tangent, but
no, it's fine.
Stop me if I get ahead of myself. I was following him for a while. He had decent Antifa coverage, but it was every single event that Antifa might be at, he would overblow it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would oversell everything, kind of like Tim Pool does.
Yeah, I think it's because he got attacked by Antifa, right?
He was kind of clickbaiting the shit out of it earlier, and I think that's one of those things that you should be a little bit more responsible about clickbaiting. That's
Especially
not
if you're a
just some internet
journalist.
stuff. What?
It's one thing if you're entertaining, but it's another if you're a journalist.
Yeah. Especially if you're a journalist covering stuff that is
Violent crime.
involving actual violence.
Yeah,
I think you have a little bit more responsibility there.
it's kind of manipulative in a way. Yeah.
So Ricky says, Idubbbz, we don't want Sam Hyde at our event because he isn't brand friendly. Also, Idubbbz gets an OnlyFans clone site to sponsor the event.
Cool.
I don't know if it's brand friendly in the same way that I don't know exactly how Idubbbz talks about it.
This is a good symmetry. Sorry, go ahead.
Because Sam is like, he's not brand friendly because he's, for lack of a better word, politically controversial.
Yeah.
He's a difficult man to pin down. I don't necessarily have a problem associating him with the alt-right because he does associate with people who are around. Like I watched a video earlier today that featured Nick Fuentes. Like,
yeah,
and some of the stuff he talks about where it seems like he's semi-serious.
Yeah, no, there was an era.
That camp. It's not like full-on ethno-state stuff, but it's adjacent.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I saw too. Like that time where he had the blonde hair, it's like he was almost like unironically being a racist. And it was so if it was irony, it was so far removed from connecting with an audience, and like that's him not reading the room and understanding his
to an
audience.
extent that's what makes it so funny.
It wasn't funny to me though. I don't know, because it seemed like so on the nose that it was just racism, because he was going around like harassing people in public and like sure.
I'm not sure which one you're talking about. I know the one that I didn't really, the one where he went to the stand-up thing. And the chick tried to punch him or whatever. That one was like, he was trolling her, but it wasn't like a necessarily funny troll. It's just like brutal, like it was like brutal misogyny.
I think the one I watched was like blatant racism to like certain ethnic groups that were.
I don't think
him. But to tie it back to the brand thing, the tweet we just saw, I think that's a good comparison to one of the arguments I made before, which is like there are brand friendly advertisers that are like you could like so Pay Money Wabi is a good example. If you're somebody who has controversial opinions and stuff online, you can still make money and be advertising for other companies privately, like Adam and Eve and shit. You can get like a sex toy, fucking, advertising. You get you get Blue Chew, you get a Fleshlight sponsorship. I mean, so to be a little, maybe they don't pay as much, but it's a little disingenuous to say, well, we changed our image entirely because frankly, this is just a higher paying gig. It's like, so, okay. So you're like, what's the point of doing what you did then? If you like, cause your craft was like, edgy as shit. But I don't know. Hello?
Yeah. I was just waiting. Were you through?
Yeah, I was done. Okay. Like my brain went completely blank at the end of that sentence. So I was hoping to God somebody would pick up and start talking. Both of y'all went fucking dead. It was a very long pregnant pause I was trying to fill. I was like, somebody say something.
Okay, so the thing of it is I don't know with Sam Hyde because of his comedy. It's hard, and when I watched his videos, and then I watched the videos that Idubbbz put out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Sam Hyde is one of these characters where it is really tough to see where does Sam the person versus Sam the
that's his shtick. You
persona,
don't know,
right? You don't know.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is like you said, he takes it to the extreme, right? If he's doing something,
nobody takes it further than him.
He takes it to the extreme to where it comes off, as you said, extremely misogynist, or it comes off extremely racist, or it comes off.
Kaufman. It's a Andy Kaufman routine. It's Kaufman-esque.
It's just like saying at a certain point, he sometimes just says the worst things imaginable just to kind of provoke. It seems like.
Be provocative.
So the question is, because this whole thing is about comedy, and that was the theme today, was comedy, and the edginess that we used to have, right? Versus where we're at today, this sanitized stuff that we're being shown on television, or the sanitized stuff that we're for example, we can't have comedians making jokes anymore because they're being assaulted on stage. And I'm not talking necessarily about the whole what happened at the Oscars. I'm talking about after that. If you look at stuff now, all of a sudden it's okay for people to come up out of the audience onto the stage and start. There was that happened in the past. I mean, I'm not going to say it didn't happen like in your smaller venues and things, right? But now it's starting to happen even in the larger venues. Look what just happened with Dave Chappelle, who was doing a thing at the amphitheater there, I think out in California. A guy rushed onto the stage and attacked him.
That was an agent provocateur. It was a fucking glowy that ran up the stage and just tackled it. No, I'm kidding. So the thing is though, is like there is like what you're saying. There is kind of like a capital there though for comedians, because it's actually better to have those barring the actual physical violence, but like people who are hyper offended, you actually kind of want that, because then it like the risk to reward ratio are even greater for whenever you do those bad jokes, because then people are like, everyone's so on edge that you can get a huge pop from breaking that ice. So like if you're in a room and you're able to read the room correctly and break the ice like that and point out the silliness of the times we're living in, where people can't be themselves and just fuck around, because everyone's has to be perfect all the time, and you can't have a bad thought. Well, that has so much capital,
I think jokes in and themselves, I think are always were offensive, right? I mean, that was always what was. I mean, to me, like for example, if you go back and look at some of the great comedians, Lenny Bruce, Don Rickles, right? Lenny Bruce was notorious. Well, he's the one who pushed the envelope as far as getting up there and saying, like fuck and things like that on stage, which no comedian had ever done before, right? That was considered taboo. And then you get someplace like Don Rickles who gets up there and he lambastes anybody and everybody in this audience, people that celebrities, and he used racial stereotypes, right?
As an old white man, yeah.
Yeah, well, but he would make, if you were Asian, he was going to bust your balls about the Asian attributes or stereotypes, right?
And he was able to do it in a way where they would laugh with him.
Not only that, listen, people would intentionally want to go and sit on the front row so they would catch his attention, because being roasted by that man was a
trophy
of honor, right? It was
a badge of honor, yeah.
Trophy, yeah. And okay, so we have went from that to where now you can't say certain things, you can't talk about certain people in a comedic way because that's offensive.
I want to hear
my feelings.
He actually kind of helped me segue into something. So I saw Shane Gillis recently, and he went up there kind of, he's not a politically correct guy in any sense.
I gotta take a piss, BRB.
So he said like the word retard, and like you could hear like a few people like sigh in the crowd.
Yes.
And he's like, "Oh, am I not supposed to say that? I'm sorry." And then it was less so on that, but more so he kind of made fun of either more people in general rather than just targeting the crowd. He was making fun of how everyone was posting black squares during the and like it got like a pretty big like sigh from the crowd, like, "Oh my God." And so he just kind of lambasted. I was sitting there laughing. But it was very different compared to like what you normally see of like a comedian just kind of doing like crowd work with someone. And it was just, this crowd was offended. They probably didn't really know who Shane Gillis was, to be honest, if they got offended like that.
Yeah.
That's the annoying thing too, is like they go to a show and they don't research the person they're going to see. So they buy tickets thinking we're going to go see a comedian. And then it's like a super edgy comedian, and they all get offended and start oohing and awing in the crowd. But the coolest part of that, by the way, is when the comedian turns a crowd that absolutely hates them for what they're saying back onto their side. And it's like a cool magic trick to watch.
And I think he did that too. I'm not going to give away his bit, but he has a really good like George Washington bit relating where he went to Mount Vernon. And it's, if he ever like posts that set, I don't know how comedians normally do, like if they will eventually post their set online as like a special or something, but it's definitely worth watching. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But well, to that point, we look at I think we have, as a society, we have forgotten the importance of comedians, right? If you and I know we're kind of getting away a little bit, but we're not, because again, we're talking about comedy, right? And how through comedy, through chastisement, through you go back and you look what Idubbbz used to do, what H3H used to do.
It's shadow play. It's shadow play.
It was the whole thing was, you go back and you look at the court jester back in medieval times. The court jester would come in there and make fun of the lords and the ladies and the king, and there was only one that could get away doing this shit, and he would do it and do it in such a manner as to make them laugh at themselves, but also bring awareness to, hey, look, dumb fucks. Okay, what you're doing here, you need to kind of ease your stance on some of this stuff, right?
And keep the king humble. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Okay. That's what comedians are supposed to do. The comedians, when they come out there and they start talking about some of the stuff that really just, I can remember the very first time I ever seen George Carlin. Okay. Now, by my own definition, I would say I'm probably a hyper patriotic person. Okay. And so,
I know we've had yelling matches about shit.
We have had some knockdown
offline. Yeah.
And so, when I was watching George Comedy's special he was doing, and I was a younger person, he came out and was just ripping on not the infantry or the small people, right, in the military, but he was ripping on like the president. He was ripping on the generals, the admirals, and leaderships, right? And he was just referring to them, they're nothing more than a bunch of guys out here, and they're pulling their dicks out and waving them around at each other and all this and all this other stuff. And it pissed me off. I was like, because we were right in the middle of, the issue with, I believe at the time we were I think Reagan was president, and we were dealing with
that's senior. What am I talking about?
No, Reagan.
No, I know. I'm being an idiot. Don't. Yeah.
Okay. So, and we were dealing with Gaddafi over there in Libya, and all that shit that was going on there. And so anyway, I got pissed off at him. I was like, who is this hippie freeze dried hippie motherfucker? Who is this guy? I got pissed, and then I had to. But fortunate enough for myself, I am possessed enough self-awareness to say, okay, why is this guy pissing you off? Right?
Yeah, like you have to think about it. Like,
yeah,
should I be pissed off right now?
Yes. And so when I sat down, I really go back and listened to what the man was saying, and I realized he wasn't talking about the grunts out there, right? The guy, the average soldier, but he was talking about the leadership and how they're getting them into shit that we did. And I said, I have to agree with this guy. It is nothing but a big dick waving contest.
Listen, you can explain this perfectly. Yeah. Matt Pitt did the best explanation of what comedy is, and it's shadow play.
Yeah.
And whenever Matt Pitt had a debate with Jessica Pizzle, which you can find on Tommy C's SFTP channel, you can see him do comedy in a very, like, in the best way possible. Like, he fucking killed. And it's pointing out the shadow in our own heart. It's the evil within all of us. It's like, so, like, you think you're a good person. You think you're a very moral and just person, and that you live in a good country and everything's on the up and up. Yeah. But when somebody points out all the little hypocrisies in your day-to-day routine, but not in a way that's like saying you're like pointing out that you're a bad person, but saying, hey, we're all fucking assholes. So let's lighten up. Let's drop the mask and be ourselves and indulge a little bit. Yeah. That's when you get, people resonate to that, and not only that, but they like laugh too. So anyways, like, watch that fucking debate because it's great.
But what I'm saying is I wished, I guess kind of bring us home here a little bit, but what I wished is I wished Idubbbz H3H3 would turn back away from this path that they're on. The truth of the matter, they probably won't, because we need more people like what they used to do, the content they used to create.
They'll come. We don't need Idubbbz or H3H3. Fuck them.
I understand. But
yeah,
I'm just saying, for I guess selfish reasons, I would like to see them going back to making the stuff they used to make. But to your point, do we need to do? No. Because
we got Gideon.
We have people like Gideon. And there's others, I'm sure, that are out there in the wings waiting to get exposed, to be found, to get their come up, if you will.
You like Willie Mack. Willie Mack's really fucking good.
Willie Mack is an excellent person for that. His videos, are a really big throwback to that area, whether they're, but he also makes things where if somebody is just an absolute turd, he flushes them on down the toilet as
turd,
as they should be. People like John Swan, his recent video on John Swan, 100% just. I don't see a way. There's no avenue or path for John Swan to ever come back. That's not to say that John Swan is still not going to have friends. It's not that he's not going to have a small circle of influence. He will, but he will never ever be back to what he was, and he will. I don't foresee him ever being able to do anything to get him to where he could have been if he had just not been so damn stupid. And so there's a couple there, like I say, Gideon. Willie Mack is a great one. So
I'd add I'd add Brandon Buckingham to that list. I know I've been kind of shilling him, but I think he falls in that vein.
No, 100%. I was not aware of this guy. I'll check him out and see if that check out his content and stuff. So anyway, like I said, I want to wrap it up. We've been live for a little over an hour now.
I'm getting hungry and I'm getting cranky.
Yeah,
I want my food and my nap.
Getting cranky.
Yeah. That is incredibly loud. That's what I sound like though when I don't have my food.
Exactly.
Big fucking baby.
Anyway, Death Chicken, thanks for joining us today. Thank you for your views and insight and opinions.
Yeah, it is.
Tell people where they can find you. I don't know if you stream.
He doesn't do content. No, he doesn't.
No, I've minimized my internet presence. I exist on like Discord and Steam.
He's a fucking Giga
YouTube.
Chad. He doesn't do internet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've dissolved it.
Well, you may be better off for that. Truth be told. But anyway, thank you for joining us. I guess if you guys want to reach out to Death Chicken, he is a member of the Clear as Mud podcast. You can to reach out to him. I guess they're asking questions if you have any or such. Banana, you had a new backdrop today. You informed me that you had not moved, but that you were, what was it? You were
out of town. I'm out of town.
Yeah, you're on vacation. Yeah.
There you go.
But he still valued you guys, our supporters and our chat and stuff. And he decided that make you guys a priority and be here. And we appreciate that about him. So
it's the least I could do. I fucking haven't released a new Digging Deeper in 2 weeks. So yeah.
Well, work has been unbearably a pain in your ass, and
yeah,
you know, and we're working on getting you some people to interview, and sometimes that takes some, you know, because we're not where. I think the way to look at that is versus quantity. We need to worry about quality and making sure that the person that you.
I agree.
That shows really good. I like what you're doing there. And I just think we just need to get the right people in there to interview.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
As far as me, I've got a couple of videos that I'm working on. Actual commentary videos, something I have not done in a long time, but I'm taking my time and I'm doing extensive deep diving and researching. When will it be released? I don't know. Or when will they be released? I don't know. I'm not going to promise you. I just let you know I am working on them.
Hell yeah.
So, and with that, guys, we appreciate your faces. We're thankful that you joined us today. And by the way, guys, shut up, leave me alone. I'm coming through you through the power of the internet.
What's up, you beautiful bastards?
If there is anybody out there that we are going to that you'd like to expose us to, as far as that makes content that's along the same line of Gideon or the old the classic stuff of Idubbbz or H3H3, any of that type of stuff. If there's content creators out there that you guys are aware of and whatever, please, down in the comments down below, tell us about them. You know, and let us know about them, and let join our Discord and share it with all the people over in Discord. That's another great way. And hype those people 100%.
If you made it this far into the podcast, leave pee poo poo in the comment section so we know you're a real OG fan.
And anyway, so with that, guys, listen, do all the YouTubey things, that all the YouTubers say, the whole like, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. Share it with your friends out there on the Twitter sphere and all that kind of crap.
Fuck yeah.
Anyway, until then, guys, remember, keep your powder dry, and we'll see you in the funny papers.